Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting, Bucks County. This is December 21st, 2022. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. Well, we'll get that a little later. We are you starting this? Joe, you want to do yours? Okay, all right. All right, we're going to begin with a presentation about the Bucks County Community College 2022 Poet Laureate. Believe we have somebody. Yes, Professor, I don't know if you want to make an introduction or no. Okay. And we do have a proclamation as well.
Good morning, Commissioners. My introduction is simply thank you for having us, for continuing to support this vital program, and we're so overjoyed that Tom Maluk is the 2022 Bucks County Poet Laureate.
Okay. Mr. Maluk. All right, so we do have a proclamation. I think Mr. Maluk might read a poem or two, I think. Whereas Tom Maluk of Doylestown has earned the prestigious distinction of being the 46th Bucks County Poet Laureate, continuing a literary tradition since 1977 that now stands as the longest-running program of its kind in Pennsylvania. And whereas Mr. Maluk was selected from more than 50 entrants by two accomplished poets who served as judges in this year's annual contest, which is administered by the Bucks County Community College and which we are proud to sponsor. Whereas poetry provides solace for Mr. Maluk, who works as a psychotherapist by day and who has a passion for golf, fishing, bridge, and of course, writing poetry by night. And whereas Mr. Maluk has published a book of poetry, Nantucket Revisited, about Nantucket's landscapes and seascapes with themes of memory and loss. And in addition, his work has been featured in several literary journals, including the GW Review, Schuylkill Valley Journal, and Red Rock Review. And whereas after working for decades with addicts as part of his psychotherapy practice, Mr. Maluk developed a series of essays which explore different aspects of a developing theory of addiction and treatment. Now, therefore, do we, the Board of Bucks County Commissioners, hereby recognize and congratulate Tom Maluk as the 2022 Bucks County Poet Laureate. In so doing, we commend Mr. Maluk's talents and leadership in conveying the beauty of poetry to individual readers and the community at large. We encourage all citizens of Bucks County and beyond to turn to poetry for creative inspiration. Mr. Maluk. Thank you very much. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this occasion. So I'm going to read three poems. I've chosen them because two of them represent my experience of Bucks County and especially the rural aspects of Bucks County. And the other, in reading the biographies of the commissioners, I noticed a special interest in mental health, which of course is a big interest of mine. And one of my poems is especially relevant to the issues of mental health. So I'm going to read the poems in the following order. Promising Snow is the first. The second will be Self-Love, which of course references the mental health aspect. And the final poem will be Fallow Field. This poem, Promising Snow, I wrote in November of 2019, of course not knowing that pandemic was coming. And to read it today, it's especially prescient because of what we're facing as Christmas arrives.
Mr. Maluk, if you don't mind, can you just pull that microphone a little closer to you? Yeah, I want to make sure we get it. All right, thank you.
How's that?
That's better.
Little
Yes,
better?
thank you.
Okay, so promising snow. Days like today, promising snow, clouds heavy. On our way under that gray canopy to your parents' farm, knowing we could sleep there if stranded by the storm, knowing all your siblings and all the grands would be there at some point of a Sunday. And we could still hope that Steve would sort things out if he could only cut back on his drinking. And Mom had not yet begun to forget the biscuits in the oven till halfway through supper. And each of us would take a turn in the kitchen. Hillary peeling the white potatoes, carving out eyes and rotten parts. Joanne steeping the tea in a glass pitcher before the white sugar and ice, and me pestering your mother when the last thing she needed was to be distracted. Grandkids haphazardly set the table, and a grown-up would come in after to make it right. About the time the snow would begin to fall, and each couple would confer while the cousins cajoled and pleaded their case to stay. And it was decided there was no better way to wait out the storm than with each other. And now I'm going to read Self-Love, if I can find it. This poem was inspired by a patient of mine who had been terribly abused as a child. And he was confessing to me that he had these self-destructive impulses, like purposely not buckling his seatbelt and eating bad food and really minor kinds of self-attack kinds of things. He had suffered quite a bit from feeling suicidal, and he was anxious that these thoughts were pointing him back in that direction again. So when he confessed that he had stopped doing these things or would occasionally, I asked him, well, what percentage of the time do you actually buckle your seatbelt or floss your teeth or eat good food? And he said, well, 99% of the time. I said, so if those feelings are indications of self-hatred, then maybe whenever you buckle your seatbelt, it's a sign of self-love. Self-love. Sometimes breaking down is the beginning of breaking out, and you are free so slowly and unevenly to learn self-love. The way brushing your teeth is an act of self-love, or buckling your seatbelt, or eating well, and especially ripe fruit. How it bathes your tongue and suffuses your mouth with sweetness, cleansing the pasty taste of the shame you've carried. Who knows why the dancer questions her grace? The beautiful woman sees only thickness in her thighs. A star high school athlete imagines the world a better place without him. No wonder it's daunting, this notion of self-love. But there is no mistaking the pleasure of the fig when you finally rest your attention away from your failures. Bite into it, savor it, allow it to nourish you. Call it self-love. And the final poem I'm going to read is dedicated to my father-in-law, John Engel, who, when I was first courting my wife, barely spoke a word to me. And I'm a pretty garrulous person, so I would always try to start a conversation and it would go pretty much nowhere. And I didn't get the sense that he exactly didn't like me, but I didn't feel like I was getting to know him at all. Fallow field. So I decided to just sit with him, not start the conversation. Such a quiet man and calm, and me so garrulous and not. He nourished the soil, his soul so old. Inconsolable infants found comfort in his lap. Our rocking chairs on the deck faced west, and the landscape unfolded. Freshly planted fields, the Perkiomen Valley, steaming stacks of Limerick's nuclear plant, and the soon descending sun. He rocked and puffed, rocked and puffed. The pungency of pipe tobacco and manure, incense for my vigil. I waited with the perfect circular holes of carpenter bees in railing slats, the chipped and faded deck stain, and lengthening shadows. Colors brightened, then faded when clouds obscured the sun. Bird song, the breeze, the rasp and hiss of pipe draw, and the metronomic creak of our rockers soon synced to each other. I can't tell you when I stopped waiting, just that I did. The way you don't know when you fell asleep, nor how long it was before his voice, like the voice of the field itself, said, if we get a little rain, the corn should come in good this year. Thank you.
Mr. Maluk, you want to come forward? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Maluk, for sharing that. And congratulations again. Okay, so we're looking at public comment. We have two names, or one name on the list for public comment. Mr. Mackhouse.
Thank you, Ed Mackhouse from Buckingham. I'd like to congratulate the board on all the money you get and for drugs and things. And there's one thing about $13 million security grant. I was wondering why. Is that because of the open borders and there's so many unvetted immigrants coming in that we need $13 more million for security? There's a lot of money in this holiday season. People are upset. There's a lot of problems. You have drug and alcohol. You do a lot with that. Question, what is like the right to know requests about finding out how they're doing? What is the program of the drug and alcohol thing? I think everyone wants to help people with drugs and alcohol, but there's no easy solution. You can't just clip your fingers. The American Civil Liberties Union has been suing Central Bucks, which is has the top always ratings in the state because of their policies of protecting students. I think they should sue the Philadelphia school districts, the Democratic school districts, which retarded the education for 2 years.
Mr. Mackhouse, Central Bucks School District is
This
not
is
on our
on the
agenda.
drugs because the people who are.
Which agenda item are you looking at? I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the item about aiding people with recovery. A lot of the people, transgender people, have suicidal and they have problems. So I'm saying, I'm questioning what is the procedure for the recovery. I think they should support things that work, like dialectic behavioral therapy, which involves, or Alcoholics Anonymous, which involve looking at the different sides of the issue, that it can resolve things by education, not indoctrinating people like with a program of gender dysphoria diagnosis where they got to go to drugs, hormone therapy, and surgeries. The Johns Hopkins study showed that this does not work. This does not solve the underlying problem. The behavioral therapy, Alcoholics Anonymous, get to the underlying problems and can really help the people. People who get the proper therapy.
What agenda item are you speaking to?
This item is about helping people with recovery.
In which item is that?
That is under corrections, 4D. So we got to get this right, and people have regrets afterwards and want to reverse the surgeries. So this program doesn't work. Johns Hopkins shows it. I'm not criticizing what the program is. I don't know these details of this program. I'm just questioning what is in the program. I'd like you to explain it.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you. That's the only person who signed up for agenda. So there was somewhere in there was a question about the $13 million grant that is going to emergency management. Audrey Kenny is here. You just want to talk a little bit about what that $13 million grant and what it's used for? You can take the whole thing. There you go.
So that's an annual allocation that's made to the Southeast region. It's the city of Philadelphia and then the collar counties, and it helps us with different security initiatives. It really doesn't deal with anything related to the borders. It's more safety programs and equipment that our first responders use to address emergencies that happen within the region.
Okay, thank you. There was a reference made to one of the corrections programs, which is called HEART, which I know Commissioner Marseglia, helped get started. It obviously has nothing to do with gender affirmation or anything of that nature. It's just, in some cases, people take items on our agenda, just use them as a launching pad to go into whatever their personal theories might be. Do you want to just talk about the HEART program, Commissioner Marseglia? I know it's...
The HEART program would be based on any 12-step program, as well as other pieces. I forget the exact model that they also use over there, but it's for people who are in jail. HEART is specific to women who need substance abuse treatment.
So, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Looking at our consent agenda, there's one slight correction on 13B. Current language in the description, the purpose under says, the current language says approved payment, parentheses, to be partially reimbursed by insurer. It should say approved payment, parentheses, county to seek reimbursement by insurer. Partial. To seek partial reimbursement by insurer. All right, so, assuming there's no comments or questions about the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll incorporate those with the vote on the consent agenda. We have resolutions 1 through 21A. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th and the resolutions 1 through 21A?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the regular agenda. We have budget adjustment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. For your consideration this morning, agenda adjustment number 22, adjust operating budget for the District Attorney's Office. Approximately half of the money will be covered by additional state grant money drawn down for 2022, and the other half, approximately half, will be covered by a draw in the general fund, $137,000.
Okay, comments or questions regarding the budget adjustment? If not, is there a motion to approve budget adjustment number 22?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, just might as well just keep the microphone there, Mr. Boscola. We're talking about the budget next. The budget has been advertised. We had a special meeting to present the budget. Anything you want to comment on in terms of the budget, Mr. Boscola?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I just wanted to thank the department heads, division leaders, row officers, their deputies, the court administration, and all of their fiscal staff that work on the budget. It is without them that finance department cannot complete the budget. It's a cooperative agreement between finance and all of the departments, the courts and the row officers, to come up with a budget to submit to the commissioners. I'd also like to thank the finance staff. For the past 4 months, we've been working on it, and also the support of the commissioners and the COO. Without your support, I won't be able to present the budget at this time. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so there are three items we'll vote on separately. First is to adopt the 2023 county budget as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. Second is to adopt the county millage, taxes, levies, millage rate, user fee schedules. And three is to approve the 2023 appropriations to county agencies and authorities as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. Comments or questions from board members before we look at these? No?
Glad to see that thank you for all your work. Thank you for your work, Margie, all the staff that has been patient as we went through this. And it's great to see no new taxes.
I want to echo that as well, Dave. Thank you for your hard work and the staff's work.
Yeah, certainly. It's obviously been a little bit of a bigger budget than what I was used to in Falls Township, or, running a social studies department at a high school. So it's slightly larger. Almost $500 million is doesn't go as far as it used to, I guess, maybe. But no, thank you to the staff and the commissioners. It's something we've worked on very closely together with the COO. They talk a lot about, there's a quote, I think by President Biden, actually. He said, show me your budget, I'll show you, and that'll tell me what you value. And I think it says a lot about what we value in terms of the funding we're putting into social services. About half the budget goes to human services, social services. In addition to expanding the co-responders program, helping out law enforcement, and also, in general, cutting some spending so we can keep things under control and do this with no tax increase. So we'll entertain a motion to adopt the 2023 county budget as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, these are roll call votes. Ms. Saul? Oh, I'm sorry. You're good.
That's okay. Sure, I'll be happy to do it. Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey.
Yes.
Commissioner Marseglia.
Yes.
Okay. Item 2, under this section, is adopt the 2023 county tax levies, millage rate, and user fee schedules as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey.
Yes.
Commissioner Marseglia.
Yes.
Item 3, approve the 2023 appropriations to county agencies and authorities as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey.
Yes.
Commissioner Marseglia.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, personnel actions. This is the commissioners' list that the commissioners will approve. Is there a motion to approve the commissioners' list personnel actions?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Other civics, 3 contributions. We're looking at $1,000 for the Dementia Society of America, $2,500 for Fallsington Library, $2,000 for Snipes Farm Education Center. Is there a motion to make those contributions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Chief Operating Officer, Ms. McKevitt.
Thank you, Commissioner. I too want to echo my thanks to the department heads, division leaders, courts, rows, but especially the leadership from the county commissioners for the budget and not raising taxes. I think that is spectacular, being a county resident. And then also making note that we are providing enhanced programs and services without increasing costs. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership for that. An announcement today came from the federal government that the county is going to be awarded a $1.7 million grant for a 2.2-mile rail trail enhancement in between Quakertown Borough and Richland Township, so we're very excited about that. And then also, this is for the county employees. I want to make sure that everybody knows, all of you county employees that are watching, that the commissioners and the county employees will be hosting a holiday program this Friday at 9:30 in the Rotunda, and to please bring your family and your friends, and especially your little ones, because I'm going to be reading a book that Commissioner Marseglia lent to me. Unfortunately, she won't be able to join us, but I will try to do my best in her haste.
You'll do great, thank you.
And then I want to wish everyone here a very happy holiday season, especially to our coworkers. Please enjoy your family and during this time. You've done a lot of hard work over this year, and we very much appreciate it. I certainly appreciate it. It speaks a lot about what we do here for our residents and businesses here. And I wish you a very happy holiday season. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to the solicitor's report now. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Commissioner. So before we get to the fun stuff, I'll just begin by reporting out that the board had its standing executive session yesterday. They conducted that with staff and legal counsel to receive information and discuss collective bargaining negotiations and some personnel matters. We have some special guests today, and before we call them up, because we are going to be having new attorneys being sworn in, and because the commissioners successfully just passed the 2023 budget, and I would like to add my congratulations, echoing everything Ms. McKevitt just said about the ability to provide more services and keep taxes flat. Commissioner Harvey asked me just to walk through a little bit about how we've been able to continue to grow this department in size and scope without actually adding to the burden to the taxpayers and actually easing that. So we have a presentation. I want to thank our really hardworking litigation paralegal, Ashley Dayoub, who ran all the numbers so we could sort of put this together and give the public just a little bit more information of what we've been up to in terms of controlling and eventually cutting down the legal costs. It's important to say that there's a lot of legal work that the county does, and there are different departments, there are different offices. So we're going to be really focusing on just a couple areas in this presentation which concern some of the more pricey areas where we've controlled costs. One is litigation, where the county gets sued. And this is aside from the work I think we've done to stop the county from being at risk. This is just looking at the dollars that have gone out the door in the past to law firms that were defending the county in civil litigation cases where the county got sued. So if we can, Randy Miller, thanks for your help. If you could bring up our first slide. What we're going to look at is the overall line of where those costs have gone. I should say that for this and the future slides, we still have a few bills left to go in 2022, so those numbers will change a little bit, but probably not very dramatically. And so what you can see is over the last 3 years, we have brought that level of spending, which was about $1.5 million, going to law firms which weren't necessarily in Bucks County, employing lawyers who didn't necessarily work here in Bucks County, and paying them by the hour to defend the county. So we have cut that number basically in half. Again, that number might go up a little bit, but 2019 is the last year before this administration came in and asked us to try and reform legal services. So we saw a pretty significant drop in 2020 as we were still dealing with a lot of the cases that we had inherited and we continue to work through. And I'm very, very happy to say that we've brought that number down significantly. One question that gets asked, again, as we hire new attorneys is, well, aren't these costs really being offset by the cost of added labor? And the answer to that is no. We actually have some vacancies we are not filling right now. So the actual overall headcount in terms of lawyers who receive county benefits to do the work that the law department does now actually hasn't changed, with one exception, which I'll get to. And so what we have done is we have changed the nature of those arrangements. We now require attorneys to work full-time for the county. We have some people who actually earn less on an annual basis than the part-time lawyers used to earn. We have some who work, who earn more than that. And some folks are doing a combination of litigation and non-litigation. The exception to what I just said is with respect to children and youth. And that's an area where the county had entirely outsourced the legal work, which I think probably made sense at one point in time. But as hourly rates continue to rise, and this is true across sectors in the legal profession, there are continued pressures on the county as lawyers are expecting to get paid more by the hour. It was pretty obvious that the model of having outside counsel was not going to be sustainable. And so I'm proud to say that through a transition that took about 1.5 years or so, and it's sort of being completed with one of our new attorneys joining today, we have now moved from an almost entirely outsourced model of legal services for our dependency cases that serve the children and youth of Bucks County to one that is almost entirely in-house. So if, Randy, you could pull up the next slide. And what you see is that doesn't cost the county more money. It actually results in a substantial savings to the taxpayer. You can see that the red line shows you what we're spending on outside lawyers, and with the budget that was just passed, you can see that even as we continue to rely on some assistance as we continue to transition, even with having 3 full-time attorneys and another attorney providing some level of support, this model is still hundreds of thousands of dollars less than what the county was paying in the year before we started this program. And again, I think that the important word here is sustainable, because the hourly rates and the hours were only going to go up if we stuck with the old model. With the new model, there will be cost of living increases, there will be merit raises and promotions from time to time, but that is all within the control of the commissioners and the county, and enables the county to control those costs. The other piece with respect to the civil litigation is we're not only spending less in the overall legal fees, but we have insurance that maybe hasn't always worked as well for the county as we would have liked it to. And in some instances, the county can get reimbursed for those fees. And in the past, not a lot of those fees that we were spending, that we were having to pay bills for, was actually coming back to the county. And so what we've tried to do over the last couple of years has been to be more strategic about when we are going to rely on outside counsel and how we were going to manage our litigation as we make decisions about when to settle, when to try cases. So if we can pull up the next slide, Randy. What we can see here is this is a line going in the totally opposite direction. This is a line, again, if you look at 2019, before this board came into office, only maybe $20,000, $30,000 of all of those legal bills, the $1.5 million, was actually going to come back to the county at one point. And what you can see is that over time, as we have, again, tried to be more strategic about when to engage outside counsel on which cases and under what circumstances, the rate at which those bills are coming back to us has skyrocketed, and it's gone up dramatically. And so what we try to do, I think, to really put this into perspective, is to look at our final slide, Randy, if you could pull that up, to really just to show where we want this trend to continue, to the extent that we need to continue to rely on outside counsel. So the red line shows the money that we're not going to get back. The blue line shows the money we are going to get back. And overall, what you can see is that we're paying less in bills overall, and to the extent that we have had to pay these big bills in the last year or two, more of that is going to come back to the county. So, again, it's never fun to get sued. It's never fun to have to talk about paying bills. But I think it's a credit to the vision of the commissioners that they've enabled us to build systems that will allow the county to withstand inflation or other changes that occur in the private sector, so that we can make sure we provide the best possible service, while, again, not creating undue burdens for the taxpayers. Having said all that, we do have some special guests, and we have two attorneys. You can take that down, Randy, thank you. We have two attorneys who are joining the law department. They are both career public servants, and we have one attorney who served in the Army before having a successful criminal and civil litigation practice, another who's joining us after working in her hometown DA's office, where she began her career. And so we thought about those kinds of profiles. We immediately thought of our friend, the Honorable Daniel McCaffrey, Judge of the Superior Court. We're absolutely delighted and honored that he's joining us today. And if Your Honor would be able to approach, perhaps I could say a few words about Judge McCaffrey and the attorneys joining us today. As Judge McCaffrey makes his way up to the front, I'd be delighted just to share a little about his biography. Judge McCaffrey is a lifelong public servant. In addition to serving in the United States Army and in the Army Reserve, he served as an assistant district attorney in Philadelphia for 6 years. He then went on to a very successful career in private practice, doing both civil litigation and criminal defense before becoming a judge in Philadelphia in the Court of Common Pleas. He is now going into his 4th year as a Superior Court judge, where he handles appeals of criminal and civil matters. Judge McCaffrey has also served on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's Court of Judicial Discipline since his appointment in 2020. And I think importantly, you know, the bench can be a very isolating place for some people, and I have to point out that Judge McCaffrey is really notable in the way that he has been a mentor and a source of advice to many attorneys since becoming a judge, including myself. And I speak for many when I say how grateful we are for his mentorship and his guidance. So with that, I'm delighted to welcome Judge McCaffrey back to Bucks County.
Microphone. Thank you, Your Honor.
Today's December 21st, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor, you're correct.
Somebody's birthday up there?
You may be right, Your Honor.
All right, so
I'm looking to my right.
On a personal note, I just wanted to wish my good friend Diane Marseglia a happy birthday. For those of you who don't know, I've known Diane for over 25 years. I actually played rugby with someone she was very close to back in the day, about 30 years ago. So we've known each other for quite some time, well before her fame and fortune as a Bucks County Commissioner. And on a personal note, I just wanted to say that I've been involved in public service for the better part of my entire life. At the age of 18, I joined the Army and have continued in public service for over 35 years and 40 years. And I can tell you it is very rare to meet someone with her heart and her head. She is one of the most effective, caring, and sincere public servants, and that's what she is, a public servant that I've ever had the pleasure of working with and working for, and I just wanted to wish you a happy sweet 16.
Well, you made my birthday, so there we go. Thank you.
Also, by the way, I just wanted to note too, Joe, had I known the Bucks County Poet Laureate was going to be here, I would have reworked the oath of office with that pentameter or haiku or something, but as it is, I'm just going to have to go with the regular swearing in. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Could we ask Kelly Riley and Jacqueline Greaser to come up with anyone that they brought with you? Your Honor, I will again read a bit about both Kelly and Jacqueline, and then I'll leave it to Your Honor if you'd like to administer those oaths together or one at a time. So Kelly, who's standing to your right, Your Honor, is a native of Bucks County. She has served the community since high school when she worked at Ann's Choice in Warminster, and she graduated from Philadelphia University with a Bachelor's of Science in Law and Society. She attended Drexel University Law School with actually one of our other assistant solicitors, Stacy Tappy, and she went right to work at the DA's office here in Bucks County. She served as a prosecutor in the Special Victims Unit. She's worked with vulnerable populations, including children, which is really an ideal training ground for coming to the county to do the work that she's now focusing on, Your Honor, which is serving the Children and Youth Agency. So we're delighted to have Kelly aboard. And next to Kelly is Jacqueline Greaser. Your Honor, our friend Patrick Murphy, for the last year or so, kept telling me that we hired his second favorite greaser, and so I'm now delighted to say that we've hired both his second and his first favorite greaser. Jacqueline is the spouse of our valued Assistant Solicitor Dan Greaser. She herself is an experienced litigator. She's practiced military justice for over 19 years. She's tried hundreds of jury trials to verdict. She served as a military prosecutor in Germany, defense counsel at West Point, senior defense counsel in Iraq. She was one of the Army's initial special victims prosecutors when they set up that program. I actually attended Swarthmore College with Jacqueline, and she went on to receive a Master's of Law in Military Law from the Judge Advocate General's Legal Center and School, and went on to build a very successful private practice. Before that, though, she did serve as chief prosecutor for the Maneuver Support Center of Excellence. She has a long list of accolades and accomplishments that have recognized her extraordinary experience and her service. Your Honor, both of these attorneys are dedicated, lifelong public servants. We are delighted to have them join our law department, and we're honored to have you, Judge, administer the oath of office.
You're an Army prosecutor who wore Navy whites? Do this one at a time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Step up.
And if we could just ask everyone to stand a little closer to the microphone. Sure. Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jacqueline Greaser,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support, defend, and obey
that I will support, defend, and obey
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're up. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Kelly Riley,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support, defend, and obey
that I will support, defend, and obey
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are, Your Honor. I would just, I would. I thank you, Judge. We really appreciate you. We know how busy you are, and it means a lot that you joined us today. I also just wanted to recognize some of the family that's in the room today. Dan Greaser is with Jacqueline, supporting her, and Kelly's also here with her husband Frank and her parents Thomas and Kathy. So we're delighted to have them all here. Thank you again. That completes our report, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on to our public comment, general public comment. Jamie Walker.
Hi. As the year comes to an end, I want to remind the residents of Bucks County and the new attorneys here that the commissioners still have legal action against me and Megan to hide emails that we are entitled to receive. The county commissioners want a local judge to rule and make the entire state of Pennsylvania less transparent for every resident of Pennsylvania. The latest bill I received from my attorney was $320. I don't care how the 5 of you or the 3 of you split it up. I should not have to pay for it, neither should the taxpayers. I am really not sure why you are still suing me or bringing legal action against me. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit just released a very similar right-to-know request that I asked for. They did not sue me to hide their words. That right-to-know request explained that the director of the Intermediate Unit was already changing the health guidance prior to August 23rd. That the health guidance that Eric Nagy sent to Margie, it was already happening. In fact, he had a meeting with his head nurse at the same exact time the state reached out to you to change the health guidance. You should ask him about that. Maybe he was like a psychic that day, I don't know. But what took place on August 23rd was very bad. It kept a lot of children out of school illegally. We know what you did, you should not be suing me anymore. And Commissioner Harvey, you should not be speaking at any event to help children from learning loss. You were at a maskless party with Steve Sanisario in New Hope while every child in New Hope and Pennsbury was illegally in masks. You stayed silent while children in Centennial, Pennsbury, New Hope, Bristol, Bensalem were being kept out of school. The only 3 districts that did not keep kids out of school were Central Bucks, Penridge, and Council Rock. Get someone from there to speak about COVID learning loss, because we kept kids in school. Stop suing me.
Okay. Thank you. Just for the record, it's been stated multiple times. There have been literally hundreds of right-to-know requests from individuals who really have a political agenda that's waste county taxpayer money and time. We've turned over literally thousands of pages. And so at this point, it's, I think there was just a loss today by somebody who had appealed, and the judge or the Open Records Court said that if there's no records, there's no records. You can't invent records just because people think they exist. So we'll move on with Commissioner comments. Commissioner Marseglia.
I would just second what you're saying. It's amusing to me how people would think we would pay their legal bills when they are costing the taxpayers of Bucks County tens of thousands on silly right-to-know requests. So letting that go, because 2022 is all over, I just want to wish everyone a good holiday. I hope that everyone is able to find joy in this holiday season, because that'll bring you positivity in the new year. So I will see you then.
Thank you. Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Thank you. Yeah, just a couple comments. First, when we passed the budget, I mean, I think it went unsaid, it was pretty quick, that we did not have a tax increase again for 2023. And I think that is important to mention. People are really struggling right now. They're struggling from the effects of the pandemic and COVID. They're struggling with inflation, and they're struggling, a lot of families in Bucks County are struggling with making ends meet and paying their bills. And I think it would have been a disservice to the constituents here in Bucks County if we raised taxes. So it was important to me, as it was to the other 2 commissioners, that we would not raise taxes again this year, and we would balance our budget without a tax increase. And again, remember, our county taxes are on property. So it would have affected homeowners and business owners in a very negative way, and it was certainly never a good time to raise taxes. Sometimes for the health, safety, and welfare of residents, it's warranted, but it was important to us not to raise taxes again this year as we have in the last 2 years. So I think that's important to let everybody know and bring that up. And just finally, wanted to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas. We're in for some bad weather this weekend, right, Audrey? It's going to get very, very cold, and certainly not sure if we're going to get any snow or ice, but enjoy the holidays, enjoy your Christmas, and a happy and healthy new year to everyone here in Bucks County and their family. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're wrapping up the year. Obviously, just want to hit on a couple things. I want to thank, certainly you could ask the question, how, with costs being higher, inflation going up, salaries going up, everything else going up, how are we able to sort of keep balancing the budget while, not raising taxes? And I think you saw a little bit of that with the report from Mr. Khan. In terms of the work he's done, heading up the law department, really redesigning how the law department functions in this county. It's a completely different model than what was ever practiced before. And you're seeing the impact quite clearly in the saving of some of those bars, hundreds of thousands of dollars being saved. There's a different way to do things sometimes, and if you never try it, then you're never going to know. So that's certainly something that I think is worthwhile. And I think Mr. Khan wanted to point out a couple things just to highlight the people who you have working for you here in this county. just this year, Mr. Khan himself received the Pennsylvania Bar Association 2022 Government Lawyer of the Year Award just a few months ago. My fellow commissioner, Commissioner DiGirolamo, received the Spirit of the Commonwealth Award for his contributions to addiction treatment services. Mr. Rich Vona, who's here, received TMA Bucks Award for his dedication to traffic safety in this year's meeting that they had, the Transportation Management Agency. Billy Barnes, who heads up Workforce and Economic Development, was awarded the Philadelphia Business Journal Woman of Distinction Award. These are all folks that, and I didn't want to miss this one. Donna Duffy Bell, who heads up Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs, won the NAMI Bucks County PA's Excellence in Leadership Award. So these are, just some of the folks we have who are making decisions for the taxpayers and helping to run this county. So I think it says a lot about the quality of leadership. We've started a leadership training program to identify future leaders so we can rack up more awards and put them on our shelves. Should also point out that, a lot of this would not happen without the leadership of our COO. It'd be very difficult for the three of us. I think the three commissioners, we agree on almost everything, and I know one of the things we agree on is that if it were not for Margie McKevitt, I think I probably would have quit a couple of years ago in terms of doing this job. But she, invaluable isn't quite the right word. It's not big enough for all the work that she does. And so we thank her. She's always, thanking other people and pointing out to other people who do good work, but everybody here knows, on the fifth floor, we may have the offices and I have the gavel, but, we're always, what's Margie think, So I want to thank you for all your work. Just some of the other things we've done in the course of 2023. We're really proud of the support that we've been able to give. And again, these are votes that were really unanimous votes. We recently approved $5.5 million for emergency management squads here in Bucks County to help them through difficult times. Bless you, whoever that was. We just broke ground recently on the African American History Museum. We are in the process of building a bigger home enlarging the home for emergency management, emergency services down in Ivy Land. So that work is ongoing. I think the roof was going on recently, which was pretty noisy, I hear, from some people. We launched electronic poll books here at the last election last month, which met with great success. A lot of praise from poll workers, from voters, much more efficient way of conducting an election. And so that was something that we think is a great addition. We're starting a program to dedicate county bridges after Bucks County soldiers who lost their lives in Vietnam. One bridge has already been dedicated in Upper Bucks. We're in the process of identifying, fallen Vietnam veterans and bridges that were near where they grew up that we're going to be working on over the course of the next year or so. The hub, which is the Human Services Hub, which works to help connect people to services. A lot of people call the county, they don't know where to go. They know they need help. In many cases, they need help in more than one area, but they don't really know what number to call. They don't really know what website to go to. They call the hub here in this office, or in this building, I should say, and now, also in Lower Bucks, and the staff we have there is more easily able to connect them to the right places. And they get a voice on that phone. They get contact with somebody in person sometimes who is a social worker and who's trained on how to help them find the help they need. It's something that I know Commissioner Marseglia has been trying to get started here in this county for a couple decades, and so we're glad to finally get it off and running. We are very proud of the fact that we administered over 200,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine across the county. That's just what the county did. That doesn't count what happened, CVS's and Walgreens and everywhere else. I'm also very happy about the fact we have $4.8 million went out to businesses on top of the roughly $30 million we gave out to businesses in the previous year to help them through the pandemic and the economic difficulties they've had. We hired the first sustainability director in the history of this county just almost a year ago. So he is working on a climate action plan for this county so that we can be a leader in how to not only save the planet, but also save money on energy costs for this county and for the taxpayers. And in terms of launching new initiatives, this county, working through, especially through its law department, launched and working with the DA as well, filed a lawsuit against the makers of PFAS chemicals, which were added to firefighting foam, which was used at our training facility for a long time. Chemicals that are hazardous, which the county did not know at the time they were using them. And so the manufacturers of those chemicals are being targeted by the county, working together through our law department and the DA to try and do what we can to make that right. We also adopted Pennsylvania's first county-based lemon law for used cars. We found too many complaints coming in through our Consumer Protection Department from people who felt that they were getting treated not the way they should be treated at some used car dealerships. The overwhelming majority of those businesses in Bucks County do the right thing, but if there are people who aren't doing the right thing, we now have a mechanism to find out about it and to make sure that the residents of Bucks County are treated properly. And also, we were happy to launch, again, almost a year ago, an ordinance that will help address human trafficking in Bucks County by allowing the health department to have a little bit more of expanded portfolio when it comes to looking at massage parlors. And it's already, could say fortunately or unfortunately, it's already showing the fruits of the labor there, because we're seeing some places where in Bucks County, human trafficking is an issue. And so we're seeing some of that work being done to help protect and save people. So these are some of the things, that's just this year, that I'm very, very proud of, and I'm sure the other commissioners are as well. For today's agenda, just to give you an idea of the money that was spent, about $1.6 million went to behavioral health developmental programs, about $2.6 million to children and youth agencies work, about $2 million for the soon-to-be, well, soon, sometime, pretty soon, the Lower Bucks Government Services Center expansion or new building, about $678,000 to the African American History Museum, about $450,000 to help the homeless and housing. We heard a little bit ago from Ms. McKevitt about a grant coming in from the federal government regarding trails. That is in addition to the roughly $286,000 that we allocated just today for the Neshaminy Greenway Trail, which is going to go into Court Creek Park. We allocated $179,000 for a long-term care consortium. One of the things we found out during the pandemic was while our hospitals have a good partnership working together, the long-term care facilities in this county really have been kind of on their own. There was a difficulty on the part of our staff when it came to providing PPE and support that the long-term care facilities all across this county, privately owned and obviously including our Chamonix Manor, didn't really communicate with each other. There was no partnership, and so that is something that the county is starting to work on so that we can have a partnership between them to have them work more collaboratively. $31,000 to Veterans Affairs for the purchase of flags, which will be put on the graves of veterans come Memorial Day. $355,000 for workforce and economic development, for entrepreneurship classes, as well as IT classes for high school students. And in terms of revenue, agencies and departments, offices around the county managed to secure $16.2 million in grants coming into the county to help offset expenses and do things like you heard earlier when it comes to anti-terrorism and emergency services throughout the southeast Pennsylvania area. So again, those are things that the county government did. That was just today. So we'll finish off with thanking everybody for all the work they put in this year, wishing everybody very, very happy 2023. A very Merry Christmas, very Happy Hanukkah, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, wait, stay here.
Okay.
Stay here. You got to stay here for a second. Charlotte wants to take it.